Good morning, everyone, and Merry Christmas. Yes, I said Merry Christmas once again. Maybe you think that because Christmas Day was yesterday. Just a moment, please. Now I have the microphone on. So now I will start again. Good morning, everyone, and Merry Christmas. Yes, I said Merry Christmas once again. Maybe you think that because Christmas Day was yesterday, that means all the festivities are over, but not according to the traditional Christian calendar. According to the traditional calendar, today, the day after Christmas, is the first day of Christmas, the first of 12 days between Christmas Day and the holiday called Epiphany on January 6th. I know you have heard of Christmas, but I would like to ask you, how many of you know the day of Epiphany? If you have heard of Epiphany and you know what it celebrates, please raise your hand. Raise your hand. Don't be shy. If you've heard of Epiphany, okay. I see one hand. Okay. If you don't know what Epiphany is, I can't blame you. I didn't know what it was until long after I had reached adulthood. We in the Protestant evangelical movement don't pay much attention to a lot of these old traditions, including the traditional Christian calendar. We celebrate Easter and Christmas, which commemorate the two crucially most important events in salvation history, the death and resurrection of Christ on the one hand and the birth of Christ on the other. Some evangelical churches like OIC also celebrate Advent, which is a time to anticipate the coming of Christ and his birth in Bethlehem. But for the most part, we evangelicals don't pay attention to some of these other special days on the traditional calendar. Well, many of you know that I love church history. So today I'm going to share with you some lessons I've learned from church history. I have entitled today's message, The 12 Days of Christmas, from Christmas to Epiphany. My main focus of today's message will be the day of Epiphany. But before I do that, I would like to talk a little bit about Advent. As originally conceived, Advent is a season during which we anticipate the coming of the Savior. And traditionally, the main activity during Advent is not shopping or celebrating or gift giving. The main activity is watching and waiting. It is the season for preparing oneself for the coming of the Savior, and not just the coming of Christ at his birth in Bethlehem, but also his second coming, when Christ returns to establish his kingdom and also bring judgment. Pastor Alistair mentioned this last Sunday. During the Advent season, we look forward to the birth of Christ, and we also remind ourselves that we are supposed to be ready for his second coming as well. Then, when Christmas arrives, traditionally, that's when the celebrations begin. That's when the 12 days of Christmas occur. I'm sure you know the popular Christmas song entitled The 12 Days of Christmas. This song describes gift giving during the days after Christmas and up until the day of Epiphany. When I was a child, I was rather confused about that song because my family and my church, we celebrated before Christmas, and we had no recognition of the days between Christmas and Epiphany. Today, I'm going to share with you some of the heritage behind the way this season was celebrated in years gone by. I'm not advocating that we go back to older ways of celebrating this season, but I would like to share some of this history with you. In the next 5 minutes of today's message, I would like to describe for you a